How do AI ETFs work? What's a good AI ETF? These are both questions I've received recently, and in this video, I'm going to go over how ETFs in general work and how sector-specific ETFs such as AI ETFs work. Now, before I begin, I must note this video is not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any of the ETFs or stocks mentioned. This is for informational purposes only. So for the basics of ETFs, they work much like mutual funds. They're a basket of investments such as stocks. There are actively managed ETFs where there's a fund manager picking and choosing the underlying holdings, attempting to outperform a given benchmark. Or you can have passively managed ETFs where the underlying holdings are determined by an underlying index. When I say index, think the S&P 500. The holdings of the S&P 500 are determined primarily by preset criteria versus a fund manager who's making buy and sell calls. There are no active calls being made, such as, for example, being overweight Tesla and underweight Google, or overweight technology and underweight energy. The passive ETF's goal is to match the underlying holdings proportionally to the holdings of the given index. ETFs in general have gained popularity due to their ability to be more tax efficient and typically lower cost than mutual funds. If you're interested in learning the mechanics of why ETFs are more tax efficient, please shoot me an email. I'd be happy to send you a video on this specific topic. Now, when it comes to ETFs, think for example an AI ETF. The dirty little secret is that any investment company can create an ETF and decide to market it however they'd wish. Their goal is to increase the amount of money invested in their ETF. So as trendy investment themes come and go, you'll see more ETFs with that trendy topic, for example AI, in their name. Now, I have nothing against these specific companies or tickers, but a couple of examples would be ticker symbol BOTZ, B-O-T-Z, is named Global X Robotics and Artificial Intelligence ETF. This is a passively managed artificial intelligence ETF that tracks the INDXX Global Robotics and Artificial Intelligence Thematic Index. Now, with passive ETFs, there can be a lot of goofy, recently made indexes with a little track record, so that is something to watch out for. It is also common for the ETF company to have created the index their ETF tracks. An actively managed example would be ARC-Q, named ARC Autonomous Technology and Robotics ETF. This ETF does not track an underlying index. The holdings are made up of whatever the investment company chooses. The prospectus for the ETF is going to give you an idea of the fund's goals and objectives, but the underlying holdings are basically up to the money manager of the ETF. Okay, so what does all this mean? You might be saying, Connor, either shut your mouth or tell me what AI ETF I should invest my money in. Well, I'm not going to do that because I simply do not believe in sector picking, nor do I believe much in active management, with maybe a few exceptions. If you have a balanced portfolio that tracks the entirety of the total US stock market, plus some international exposure, you are already going to have a lot of exposure to the companies that are benefiting from the adoption of AI. The potential reward of trying to overweight your portfolio in artificial intelligence implies that you're going to be able to pick the individual companies that benefit the most from the adoption of artificial intelligence. Or you're going to be able to pick an index or a money manager who is going to do so. I think the chances of that, compared to a well-diversified, low-cost investment approach that captures the US small, mid, and large cap growth and value exposure, plus some international exposure, has a better chance of outperforming over the long run in comparison to you trying to pick and choose the hot sectors or the hot stocks of the market. Look at this SPIVA report card. SPIVA stands for S&P Indices versus Active, and it was created to better inform the long-standing debate on active versus passive investing. In almost every category over the last 15 years, the index has outperformed the actively managed approach. So let's look at example, the large cap growth. So these are large cap funds compared to the S&P 500 growth index. Over a 15-year time period, less than 5% of actively managed funds outperform the index. So if we're looking for perspective at the average retirement time horizon, which is about 20 years, you're taking quite a gamble that this active investment approach over the long term is going to outperform the index approach. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. You could shift around and keep picking the best. If you're taking a data-driven approach, a low-cost index approach that captures the entirety of the stock market, I believe is a better bet. So when you ask what AI ETF should I purchase, I think you're asking the wrong question. The question is your portfolio allocated to capture the entirety of the stock market over a long time horizon? Another question I might ask is, do you have the higher growth portion, so the AI portion of your portfolio, invested in the right account? If you have a Roth and a traditional IRA, it's going to make sense to put more of the higher growth, so maybe the AI portion, like the US large cap growth portion, in that Roth account. If you would like me to take a look at your accounts, how they're situated, and also look at your overall plan, I'd be happy to do a free retirement audit. There's no strings attached. All I want to do is give you an idea of what we could employ into your plan to unlock more value. If you're interested in that, there's a intake form in the description below called the Discovery Intake Form. If you fill that out, we'll be in touch to schedule a meeting where we'll get to know each other. And then after that meeting, I will send you a free retirement audit. And again, no strings attached. I cannot give you specific advice until you would come on as a client, but I can give you some guidance on what that would look like for educational purposes. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you're looking at what AI ETF I should invest in, taking a step back and looking at the larger picture, I'm sorry if I let you down by not giving you a direct answer, purchase this ETF. I think that it's a lot more nuanced than that, and I'd be doing you a disservice if I was actually answering that question that way. Keep in mind, money is a tool, knowledge is freedom, and planning is power. Have a great rest of your day.